This is Michael Popok, Legal AF. It's time for me to weigh in on the attempt by MAGA Congress, led by the two Jims, Jim Comer and Jim Jordan, to try to find Merrick Garland, our Attorney General, in contempt because he refuses to turn over the audio tapes of the interview of President Biden that he gave voluntarily to the Special Counsel Robert Hur back in October of 2023, as that special counsel was wrapping up his investigation of the handling of classified documents by Joe Biden when he was not president of the United States, when he was vice president, before he was president. That's important because I'm going to go over what is the purported rationale, a total ruse by the MAGA Republicans about why they need the audio recording. Now, I'm going to also cover in this one how the committee hearings before the vote, which was right along party lines by both the Oversight Committee led by Comer and the Judiciary Committee led by Jordan, how it devolved into a food fight led by the MAGA Republicans and Marjorie Taylor Greene as she attacked the physical appearance of a Democratic female House member, Representative Crockett from Texas, and then riding in on her horse to defend it appropriately was AOC. We'll talk about that as well, that disgusting food fight and attacks on the personal appearance of a representative House, a fellow member of the House. But let's get to the bottom of what's going on here and the assertion by Joe Biden to avoid his Attorney General, Merrick Garland, from being found in contempt by asserting executive privilege, presidential executive privilege, to prevent the production of the audio. Now, let me back up for a minute so people don't get lost here in this forest. Let me talk about the trees. What happened here? There was an interview. It lasted for about 3 or 4 hours over a couple of days. It happened to be right around the time of Hamas's attack on Israel on October the 7th. And I think the president had a couple of things on his mind at that time, but he still sat down for that interview. The full and complete transcript. And I work as a trial lawyer, and I work with transcripts every day. Deposition transcript, trial transcripts, hearing transcripts, and the like. And I'll tell you about the value of them. That full transcript, hundreds and hundreds of pages, with an accurate transcription by a court reporter of exactly the questions and exactly the answers, have already been released to the public and to these committees. You and I can get them online. If you want to sit and read 300 or 400 pages of Joe Biden answering questions about his handling or mishandling of documents before he became president, you can read it. It's in a deposition transcript. It's also then summarized in an over 300-page report, also public, by the special counsel, Robert Hur. I didn't like all aspects of that report. In fact, I had Judge Ludig on with me at it around that time, and he didn't like it either. He thought that if they weren't going to prosecute, which they concluded they were not going to recommend the prosecution of Joe Biden or prosecute Joe Biden, it didn't have to be 300 pages of hand-wringing about the reasons they weren't going to prosecute him, including taking pot shots at Joe Biden's memory and his ability to recall events from 6, 8, 10, 12 years ago, about who packed his boxes, who bought his filing cabinets, and enough of the rest of the minutia that frankly is beneath Joe Biden and Robert Hur for having asked it. Putting that aside for a minute, and the comments about his age and he'll be 85 by the time the case went to trial and no jury would convict him, whatever those assertions were, all the core fundamental information has been completely disclosed. It's not being blocked by the president. He didn't assert executive privilege over the transcript at all. But that's not good enough for MAGA because they want to, like they did the Jan 6 footage of all of the security cameras and 50,000 or 100,000 hours of security cameras. They wanted to be able to do what Tucker Carlson did, slice and dice and edit and take out of context and use it for campaign purposes for their cult leader, Donald Trump. That's why they want the video. Or the audio recording, actually. This was an audio recording. They want to embarrass Joe Biden. And all you got to do is like run things backwards, do some deep fakes, get somebody playing Biden, but with the audio coming through his mouth in an ad. You can just see what they would do. And they can't do it, of course, with just the written transcript. Now, I use transcripts every day in my practice, okay? Courts use transcripts every day in their practice. A judge doesn't require that when I file a motion for summary judgment or a motion for sanctions, and I attach as evidential and evidentiary support a transcript of a deposition, sworn statements under oath, or a trial excerpt, The judge doesn't say, well, that's not good enough for me. Can you send me the video? Can you send me is there an audio, Mr. Popok? No. We live in the world of dry pieces of paper, with ink on them that we rely on for briefing in courts about the most consequential issues that face a person, criminal and civil, right? Constitutional and otherwise. It's all done on briefs. It's all done with transcripts. It's not done with audio. So why do you need the audio? Well, that's what the Office of White House Counsel, the Office of Legal Counsel, the OLC, which is the law firm, internal, if you will, for the President of the United States. And their writings and their recommendations and their guidelines and their policies are very, very important. In fact, even the Supreme Court, even this Supreme Court, will cite to OLC, Office of Legal Counsel, memos and analysis in making their own decisions. Okay, holds a lot of weight. I'm not saying it's the 10th justice at the Supreme Court, but those opinions hold a lot of weight. And the Office of Legal Counsel analyzed the issue and recommended to Joe Biden, which was adopted by Merrick Garland, that he should assert executive privilege, presidential executive privilege, properly asserted while he is the President of the United States, about matters that when he was not the President of the United States, so that they're not disclosed to the committee. Merrick Garland went further and said, and I'm summarizing here, that there would be a deleterious effect on future investigations by the release of this material. The Office of White House Counsel went further and said, we can't see any legitimate, non-political reason why you would need this. Now, MAGA fired back. Let me just read the exact words here. The Department of Justice said, while our cooperation with Congress has been extraordinary, we also have a responsibility to safeguard the confidentiality of law enforcement files, where disclosure would jeopardize future investigations. The Attorney General must draw a line that safeguards the department from improper political influence and protects our principles, our law enforcement work, and the people who carry out that work independently. As Garland wrote in his letter to the President, Biden, on May 15th, the committee's needs, both these committees, Oversight and Judiciary, the two gyms, are plainly insufficient to outweigh the deleterious effect that production of the recordings would have on the integrity and effectiveness of similar law enforcement investigations in the future. I therefore, this is Merrick Garland to the President, respectfully request that you assert executive privilege over the subpoenaed recordings. I also request that you make a protective assertion of executive privilege with respect to any other materials responsive to the subpoenas that have not already been produced. Sincerely, Merrick Garland, Attorney General of the United States. And Joe Biden and his White House team took that recommendation from the Office of Legal Counsel the way they should, the OLC, and his own Merrick Garland, Attorney General, and asserted executive privilege over to prevent as a barrier the audio recordings of Joe Biden's interview. Again, so when you're debating these things with your friends and family on note cards or written in your palm, the transcript is fully available and public. You want to slice and dice that all you want, but what they want is the audio because they want to do some sort of deep fake ad campaign for Donald Trump, using the voice of Joe Biden at a moment when maybe he couldn't remember something, maybe about his son who passed, Beau Biden, and being taken too soon from this earth under brain cancer circumstances, or something about the war that was going on, or some rumination by Joe Biden at a particular moment, and they want to embarrass him. There's no role in this. The reason I said, remember, this is about Joe Biden when he was the former vice president, after he left office, is that how could this possibly be grounds for impeachment? Jim Jordan and James Comer said, we need this information. It's legitimate and it's related to our fact-finding about whether we should draw up articles of impeachment. Oh my God. I've been hearing about articles of impeachment against Joe Biden, anybody else in his administration, almost since the guy took office, as paybacks and retaliation for their fearless leader being indicted 4 times with 91 original felony counts. That's all this is. They don't pass any legislation that helps the average American with their pocketbook or issues around their kitchen table. They're just busy trying to go after Hunter Biden, using revenge porn, showing his junk, stealing his laptop, participating in the stealing of Joe Biden's daughter's diary and trafficking of it. Or now, trying for the last year unsuccessfully to impeach Joe Biden.
I love cooking, and it's just a great way to unwind after a long, busy day. But going food shopping isn't always, easy or in the cards, and getting all the ingredients is super time consuming. And so I love meal kits, but the problem with meal kits is that they usually just have a recipe and you do their recipe. And what if you don't like certain ingredients? Or what if you want something lower in calories, which is always something I'm trying to do. So what I love about our sponsor, which is called Marley Spoon, is it's very personalized. And so you can personalize their recipes, and it makes it really tailored to you and what you're looking for and exactly how you like it. It's not boring, it's not bland. And when you use Legal AF at the checkout, you'll get 25 free meals. What a great deal that is. So you can choose over 100 delicious recipes each week. There are things like Cajun spiced chicken or poached salmon, butternut squash gnocchi, a vegan burrito bowl, whatever you like. And the many recipes are completely customizable, like I said, vegetarian, family friendly, low carb, whatever you want. Marley Spoon has the food you want to eat, and it has an in-house registered dietitian who actually assesses every recipe, so it takes the guesswork out of eating healthy. So I love Marley Spoon. It's really the meal kit option that I've been looking for, and it saves you from all that extra grocery food. If you're an empty nester like me and my husband, I used to cook these big meals, but now there's just two of us, and so when you buy stuff at the grocery store, sometimes there's a lot of stuff left over and it can go to waste, or you feel like you have to use it for other recipes that you might not want. So it really makes it more efficient and effortless. So Marley Spoon, you're not locked in long term. It's flexible. The subscription allows you to edit, pause, cancel your boxes at any time. So experience the most personalized meal kit today with Marley Spoon. Head to marleyspoon.com/offer/legalaf and use code legalaf for up to 25 free meals. That's right, up to 25 free meals with Marley Spoon. One last time, that's Marley, MARLEY, spoon.com/offer/legalaf for up to 25 free meals, and make sure you use the promo code legalaf so they know we sent you. Thanks so much.
You can only, let me just do a quick tutorial, not for my audience, but for the Republicans. You can only impeach for high crimes and misdemeanors that were committed while the person had the office. In this case, the office, and I would say the office of the president. I think that you can't go back in time and start doing an impeachment proceeding about 8 and 10 years ago when Joe Biden was vice president, and worse, after he left the vice presidency and was working at an institute at the University of Delaware or whatever, or Pennsylvania. You know, and it isn't high crimes and misdemeanors for the president about stuff he did 8 years ago after he left office, after serving this country for 46 years. So that's all a ruse. That's a canard. That is BS, okay? And it's been called out now by Merrick Garland and by Joe Biden by asserting executive privilege. But this whole debate, you know, some of the papers just reported it as, well, it went to committee, and in the two committees for the Judiciary Committee, they very dryly, like a C-SPAN presentation, it was 18-15 to vote out of committee the resolution to hold Merrick Garland in contempt, despite the fact that there's been an assertion of executive privilege and no judge would ever find him in contempt of Congress because there's now an executive privilege assertion that's been asserted, and he's been instructed not to provide it. That's not happening. We know the law in the D.C. election interference cases and in D.C. courts. And then they'll go on to say, well, in the Comer presided over oversight committee, it came out of committee 24-20. But that just wallpapers over the food fight led by Marjorie Taylor Greene, who attacked a representative from Texas, a Democratic representative of Texas, Representative Crockett, about her appearance and talked about her eyelashes as apropos of nothing. Let's play that clip.
I'd like to know if any of the Democrats on this committee are employing Judge Merchan's daughter.
Please tell me what that has to do with Merrick Garland.
Is she a porn star?
Oh, Goldman. That's right. He's advising. Okay.
He's advising who? What? Do you know what we're here for? You know we're here about
just
AG.
I don't
Point
think you
of
know what
order.
you're here
President.
for.
Well, you the one talking about. I guess
I
you still
think your
stuck in the
fake
courtroom.
eyelashes are messing up
No,
what you're
ain't
reading.
nothing.
Hold on.
Listen.
Order.
Mr. Chairman,
That's beneath
would
even
you
you,
please
Mr. Green.
regain
That's beneath
order
even
of your
you.
committee?
Order.
I do have a point of order, and I would like to move to take down Ms. Greene's words. That is absolutely unacceptable. How dare you attack
meeting will
the
suspend.
physical
Meeting will
appearance of another
suspend.
person?
Are your
Move
feelings hurt?
her words down.
Aw.
Oh, girl, baby girl.
Oh, really?
Don't even play. with
Baby
me.
girl?
We're gonna,
I don't think
we are going to
so.
move, and we're going to take your words down.
I
Thank you very
second
much.
that motion.
So who will have to pay? Okay. Ms. Green agrees to strike her words.
I believe she
Chair
should
recognizes
apologize. No,
Mr.
she
Perry.
should
Okay,
apologize.
hold on. Then after Mr. Perry's going to be recognized, then Ms. Green
I'm not
still has 4 minutes and
apologizing.
21
Well,
seconds.
then
Okay,
you're
reserve
not
the right to
striking your
object.
words.
I am
Mr.
not
Chair,
apologizing.
Now let's go. Come on, guys.
Why don't you debate me?
Mr. Chairman, the
it's
minority.
pretty self-evident.
You're not.
Yeah, you're
out
not-
of order.
you don't have enough
You're out of order.
intelligence.
Chair recognizes Mr. Perry.
Okay, move to strike
I'd like to
I
strike
move to
those
strike the
words
lady's
as well.
words.
Move to
I would
strike.
like to
Move to
strike
strike
those
the
as
lady's
well.
words again.
That's 2 requests to strike. That's 2 requests to strike.
Oh, they cannot take the
There's
words.
another motion to strike her words again. Please
All right.
get
Okay.
your members under
Here's
control.
the correct apology. Ms. Green, do you agree to unanimous consent to strike your words?
I repeat again for the second time. Yes, I'll strike
right.
my words,
That-
but I'm not
all right.
apologizing.
Without objection. Without
Not
objection.
apologizing.
Chair, 21 seconds.
Mr. Chair, point of order.
Who's
It's me.
Ms. Crockett?
I'm just curious, just to better understand your ruling. If someone on this committee then starts talking about somebody's bleach blonde, bad built butch body, that would not be engaging in personalities, correct?
A what now?
Chairman, I
trying
make
to
a motion to strike those
I
words.
don't think that's a
Hold on.
part
I'm
of it.
trying to find clarification on what
Chairman,
qualifies.
motion to
I had
strike
no
those
idea
words.
what you just said.
We're not gonna do this. Look, you guys earlier literally just said
You
that-
just voted to do it.
Y'all did it first, so you don't
just
talk
voted to do
Say
it.
you're gonna get
Order,
Marjorie
order.
on
I'm
the
trying to
lead.
get clarification.
Look at, calm down.
No, because this
I
is
would
what
like
y'all
to get
do.
through proceedings.
So I'm trying
Hey,
to
Ms.
get
Crockett,
clarification.
you're not
Y'all wanna
recognized.
play
Ms.
games.
I can't hear
Crockett.
you with your
And you
yelling.
don't want me
Calm
to
down.
Be,
Can
no,
you please calm down?
Don't tell me to calm down.
Calm down.
Because y'all
Please
talk
calm
noise
down.
and then you
You're
can't
out of
take
control.
it.
So there you have it. And then the fight broke out, as you heard part of it there. The fight broke out because, there's a congressional record of everything that's said. And if things need to be removed from the record that are embarrassing or distasteful, everybody has to agree to that. Well, Marjorie Taylor Greene was willing to remove her words from the record so that, 5, 10, 15, 100 years from now, nobody would know that she said that unless you were following the MeidasTouch network and Legal AF and YouTube, because it'll still exist there, but not in the official congressional record. She was willing to retract her words of attacking the appearance of one of her fellow members of the House, but she wasn't willing to apologize for it. And AOC rightly said, that's not good enough. That was disgusting. You're not supposed to do that. We have rules of decorum in the House. Look, I know back 150 years ago, 130 years ago, one House member took out a cane and beat another House member almost to death on the floor of Congress. But I thought we were beyond those days, right? I didn't think you'd go after people. Why don't you go after people for their ethnicity or their religion, or their sexuality, or lack of sexuality, or gender, or whatever it's going to be? Is that where we're going now? You got to draw the line somewhere. And even Comer, it was like confused, like what now? What's happening now? Oh my God! Wake up, Gomer. Your party is on fire, and not in a good way. We'll continue to follow what goes on next. But let me give you my prediction: executive privilege, properly asserted by the President of the United States on recommendations and advice of the Office of Legal Counsel. And now adopted by and recommended by his Attorney General. That will give complete cover because it's a proper assertion, even if it's an improper assertion. The president has asserted it. And there is reasonable reliance by the Attorney General on that assertion of executive privilege to remove any willfulness in his violation of a subpoena of Congress that in effect is ineffective. If they try to get the Department of Justice, so here's the good news. Congress can't on its own go sue Merrick Garland in a court of law. At best, they can make a recommendation to the Department of Justice that they bring a contempt of Congress action against Merrick Garland, headed by the Department of Justice, headed by Merrick Garland. That is not going to happen. Not when the department, following the advice of the Office of Legal Counsel and the president, assertion of executive privilege, said he doesn't have to produce the audio of Biden's testimony. So it ends there. It won't leave the House. It won't get out of the starting blocks. It won't be filed, right, at all. So we won't have to worry about a court. But even if the Department of Justice decided to do it, and they won't, or open up a special counsel, but they won't, no judge in the D.C. court system, either at the trial level or the appeal level, would ever find Merrick Garland in contempt. So why are we talking about it? Because the MAGA Congress are trying to use it as a campaign strategy to get themselves and Donald Trump reelected. I don't think it's effective. I think it'll backfire. I don't think this is what the average or even any American wants to hear about so close to an election. They want to hear about things that matter to them, how the economy is doing well for them, how the infrastructure and other major investments have paid off for them or will pay off for them in the future, how education reform will pay off for them in the future, how clean water and clean air and energy reform will pay off for them in the future, how they don't have bridges and tunnels collapsing around them any longer, how their road system isn't collapsing around them any longer, how inflation is trending down, how the ability to have money in retirement is trending up, how Social Security has been saved, and healthcare has been reaffirmed as a right in America. That's what people care about at the end of the day when they're voting. That's what I believe. And I'll continue to believe that right here on the MeidasTouch Network and on Legal AF. We do that show on Wednesdays and Saturdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. We pull together and curate the top stories at the intersection of law and politics, just like this one. Boy, right in the middle, smack dab in the middle of law and politics. And now you know why we call it Legal AF. And if you don't, join us 8 p.m. Eastern Time on this YouTube channel. Then I do hot takes like this one, I don't know, about every hour on the MeidasTouch Network. And if you like them, slide over to playlists, YouTube, MeidasTouch, look for Michael Popok, contributor or playlist, and you got my 1,300 hot takes like this almost exactly. And then if you like what I'm doing here, give me a thumbs up and a comment. It's not out of ego. It's out of self-preservation. It keeps the content coming to you uninterrupted right here on the MeidasTouch Network, on a network that you're helping to build with your bare hands. We don't have outside investors. We are independent, and we appreciate your support. So until my next hot take, until my next Legal AF, this is Michael Popok reporting. Heary, heary, Legal AF Law Breakdown is now in session. Go beyond the headlines and get a deep dive into the important legal concepts you need to know, and we discuss every day on Legal AF. Exclusive content you won't find anywhere else, all for the price of a couple of cups of coffee. Join us at patreon.com/legalaf. That's patreon.com/legalaf.